Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a slightly different video. It's not going to be how to apply your makeup. It's actually going to be strictly on brushes and how to use them, the multi-purposes, and what brush is best for what. This was actually a requested video, so thank you so much for requesting. It's always really great getting your messages and requests because it just helps me with what I can create for all of you. So let's get started. Starting with corrector and concealing brushes. So we've got two. The first one I'm going to pick up is the concealer blending brush. So this is more of a flat brush, which is generally better to pack on product. So if you really want to get more of a fuller coverage and a specific placement, this brush is really great because it's got a slightly tighter bristle and it's more flatter, so it's easier to really pop on a little bit more coverage. So what I would do is I would place this on any areas where I want to really correct, so any of my blemishes, pigmentation, darkness underneath my eye, and then we'll go on to the next brush. The full coverage touch-up brush, even though it's called full coverage, is actually really great for blending out concealers or for getting a much lighter coverage. Because it's slightly fluffier, it's almost easier to blend it all out. So I really like this when you just want soft coverage on the under eyes, or if you're looking to blend out the concealers and correctors really seamlessly. So you can see I packed it on with the concealer blending brush, and this brush is just buffing everything out really seamlessly. Next up are your foundation brushes. So we have three specifically. We've got the precise buffing brush, which is my preferable one. You've got the full coverage brush, and you've got the flat foundation brush. Now the flat foundation brush, you can see it's got slightly darker pigment on it. I like this personally for contouring, so I'll come back to this. However, if you have very liquidy foundations, they're very runny, this is quite a nice brush just to apply that on. If you want something a little bit more smoother, slightly lighter in coverage, and just blend it all over, the full coverage brush is perfect for them. These two are actually made with the same bristles, so they give a very similar finish to the skin. Nice, blended, smooth. They're called full coverage brushes because it's easy to build up the coverage if you wanted to without it looking heavy and cakey. So you can use this to blend this out. However, I like the precise buffing brush. I've already got foundation on, as you can see, but I like it because of its angles. So the angles just mean that I can get right into all of the contours of my face, around my nose, underneath my eyes. But I always use these brushes to pack on the foundation first. Just, you can see I'm doing more of a bouncing motion on my skin, and then I will buff it out to get it a little bit more seamless. The full coverage brush is better for that general buffing if you like that very flawless light finish. Going into cream contouring, I really like the flat foundation brush because I find it's very easy to just angle exactly where I want that contour. So just apply it on, take it down the jawline. It's just a really easy brush to find exactly where you want to place that cream contour. Then to blend out the contour, I really like the precise blending brush. Just like its name, it just blends out products really well because it's quite a sort of like large fan brush. So as you can see, whilst blending out this contour, I would just do a bouncing motion. The nice thing about our brushes is they're all synthetic, so synthetic brushes are really good with blending out sort of cream products in particular, but you can see it just smooths everything into the skin really seamlessly. I actually quite like using this for foundation from time to time, but it's really great just in general to blend and buff your makeup through your skin. Going back into the full coverage touch-up brush just to blend out my concealer and any small areas where I've placed the concealer. To set the makeup, normally what we would do is we would get sort of like a bigger brush to set our makeup. Personally, I prefer a much smaller brush. So this is the eye blender brush. I prefer a smaller brush because I find that we use a lot less of the powder, which a lot of people generally are scared of looking super dry and super matte. So I like just taking a small amount on the eye blender brush with your sheer pressed powder, any setting powders, and just sweep it exactly where you want to set the makeup or where you get really, really shiny through the skin. Now, if you've chosen to use a powder bronzer, they have two brushes over here. This one is our official bronzer brush. I don't tend to use it on my face so much because it is quite big. So I actually tend to use this on my neck because generally with most people, our neck is the one area that just doesn't get any warmth, any color. So I like this just for like when you're trying to warm up larger areas. However, if you are trying to give yourself a little bit more structure, a little bit more warmth, I like the angled face brush because you can just pick up your bronzer, and because it is at an angle, it's easy to kind of see where you're placing the bronzer to get that beautiful structure on the face. So if you're someone that's very, very natural, you want something super soft, you don't really want to see where the makeup is sitting, use the bigger bronzer brush. However, if you want a little bit more structure, definitely go in with the angled face brush. For highlighter, I have 3 general brushes that I tend to use. The angle one is going to give you a very high impact highlight because obviously the bristles are a little bit tighter on this. I'm not going to use this one. I am going to show you these 2 here. So the face blender brush is going to give you a very soft highlight. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of highlighter and I'm just going to sweep that on the cheek. And because it's a very soft, fluffy brush, it kind of picks up the highlight very, very softly and disperses it really softly onto the cheek. However, if you want something a bit more impactful, you can also go back into the eye blender brush and you can just target little areas. Can you see already that that really has more of a higher impact in terms of sheen? And you can actually use your finger for highlighter as well. I like to use my finger when I'm taking it down my nose, the bridge of my nose, the tip of my nose, and my cupid's bow. So don't forget that your fingers are also brushes that you can use for certain things, not for everything. For both cream and powder blusher, you can use a sheer powder brush. This is really lovely, just to very softly pack on your blusher. I'm using a cream one at the moment, but it is also perfect for powder blushes. You can also use our blush brush, which is specifically for blusher. I weirdly don't have one, but it's more at like a semicircle, so it fits onto the cheek perfectly, but I find that the sheer powder brush does a beautiful job, as you can see. Moving on to the eyes, let's start with brows. So we've got 2 brow brushes. One is the brow brush and one is the brow brusher and groomer. So I really like this one because I like the groomer. I put soap in my brows, so this is really great because I can pick up the soap, as you can see it on there, with this side, and then I can apply a little bit of powder with this side, which is a little bit more defining because you can see it's a bit thinner. Now, if you generally just wear powder in your brows, this is a much better brush because it is a little bit more, the actual bristles are a little bit thicker, so it spreads out the brow powder a little bit better. They're both very good. It depends on what you want. So I've just popped a little bit of the Longwear eye base on, going back to your fingers being your brushes as well. I actually really like applying it on with my finger and blending it out with my finger because I find that the warmth from your hands will instantly melt that Longwear eye base onto the eye. The Eye Sweep brush is a perfect brush for any sort of base colors. So if you're looking to just place a base color all over the lids, this is great. This is not so much for blending, but just general application of eyeshadow in a larger area. So that's why this is perfect. But you can also use this for concealer. It's lovely just to buff out a little bit of concealer where you need it. It's just another use of this brush. Back to my most used brush, which is the eye blender. This is perfect for any lid colors. If you want to apply an eyeshadow, sorry, not lid, crease. If you want to apply any eyeshadow really lightly into the crease, the eye blender is perfect because it's large and fluffy, so it doesn't heavily apply the shadow. It almost blends it out for you, as you can see. So this is great for any softer application, or if you're trying to diffuse any eyeshadows and blend it out. Now for the angled eyeshadow brush. This is a slightly smaller, tighter brush. So this is really perfect for getting more detailed work and really packing on color. So if you want the color to really, really sit more bold on the eye. This is great. Can you see how that's just placing and packing on that shadow really, really well? So I like to kind of push it onto the eye where I want it, and then I'll blend it out with another brush. Once you've packed on that color, this is where the eyeshadow brush comes to play. So this is almost, if you think of it, a smaller version of the eye blender brush because it's still fluffier. So it will kind of blend out your eyeshadows really well, but in more detail. So in a smaller space. Where the eye blender was being taken all the way through my eye here, the eyeshadow brush is really just tucking and blending the eyeshadow through the tighter bit of the crease of the eye, and it's also really perfect to blend out shadows on the bottom lash line because it's a little bit fluffier. The smoky eyeliner brush, this is a pretty versatile brush as well. You can use this obviously like its name for a smoky eyeliner to really buff out any sort of like eyeliners or sort of buff out a shadow along your lash line, but I really like this also for detail. So I'm gonna just take my base color and I'm gonna start to pack that through the front of the eye, and that's because I almost want this part of my shadow to be very precise. So as you can see, it's just almost lining the crease of my eye and the lid of my eye really, really well. But this is perfect for any finer detail that you want to do, but you still want to get a good blend from it because this brush is small but fluffy. Another very well-known eyeliner brush is our ultra-fine eyeliner brush. This has been around for years, and I love this for general eyeliner. If you are just wanting to create a normal eyeliner, a wedge, whatever, this is perfect. It's such a beautiful brush. I actually use this specifically more for underneath my lash line to really get in between my lashes. So this is called tight lining, where you get right in between each lash so you don't get any gaps on them. So I'm using this with a powder eyeshadow, and I'm just pushing it right in between all my lashes to create that finer detail. The eyeshadow brush is perfect just to blend and buff out the bottom lash line. Our last eyeliner brush is the Precise Liner brush. This is really great for any really, really detailed wing liner because it's got such a thin nib to it. So this is very easy just to carve out a eyeliner and get the precision of it. You can see already it's easy to create that little bit of a wing. So this is perfect for gel eyeliners if you want to use it with a powder but you want that real tight precise line. Now I don't tend to use a brush for applying lipstick. What I do use is the smoky eyeliner brush just to buff out my lip liner, because I love lip liner so much, but sometimes I have to be careful because it will be like a strong lip line. So I always just take it, and the smoky eyeliner brush is perfect just to buff out the edges so it doesn't look so over the top. And then when you apply your lipstick on top, it almost just blends in together seamlessly. So that is my completed makeup and my brush 101. I tried to use pretty much all the brushes. I think I went through all the brushes, but if there are any that I didn't or you want more detail, leave the comments below because someone's probably also thinking it as well. I hope you enjoyed it, and if it was helpful, let me know. But have a beautiful day, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.